Hey, what's up, everybody? It is the Dark Conservator, your favorite bargain bin miniature version of Razor Fist here, coming to you live with another episode of Strike Force News here. And as you may know by watching my most recent upload on this channel, that is, if you do keep that much up to date and up to speed on my content here on my main channel, I have recently tested positive for coronavirus. So yeah, that means that I am stuck here at my home for a bit, and that means I have nothing better to do but to go ahead and live stream. And if you've also watched that video, you would know that most to all of my symptoms, particularly the major ones, are all gone. I'm still dealing with a little bit of phlegm in my throat and other stuff like that, but other than that, I'm pretty good. So, yeah, that is the reason why that we are starting an episode of Strike Force this early in the day, as it normally would take place at 7:30 p.m. on Central Standard Time, on a work week day, and it would normally take place on a Tuesday as opposed to today, which I probably ought to get rid of this little sign right here that I am pointing to, because I am not very consistent, at least these recent couple of months, with my scheduling on Strike Force anyways, especially ever since I received the second strike on my YouTube channel. I was pretty consistent throughout most of the summer and fall time, but yeah, ever since late fall and winter kicked off, yeah, it hadn't been real consistent, so maybe I should get rid of this shit right here. But too late right now. I already got things set up, and hey, what is up, everybody? Sent1000 and hello, Metal Doomer in the live chat. I wanted to say hi real quick. I sadly have to go to sleep. All right, get some rest, Doomer. That's okay. But yes, so to get right into business, y'all, I of course am here mostly to do my due diligence in talking about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial and some of the recent articles and news that I have come across in relation to the trial as it is unfolding before our own very eyes and getting very little reported, at least as far as I know, just in general. I don't know how much people are generally talking about it. I don't even think Ben Shapiro has made hardly a mention of it. But then again, I have been kind of sharking off on watching or listening to Ben Shapiro in recent weeks. So, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I'm here to talk about this subject, and there's just as a little bit of a warm-up to talking about off the cuff what I wanted to talk about in regards to the pipeline issue. And then maybe I'll find some other random article to read from Washington Examiner as well. And then I plan right after this live stream, or soon after this live stream anyways, to be reviewing a debate that I seen fairly recently, I guess, that Destiny had against three COVID skeptics, where he basically called anybody refusing to get the vaccine is a biochemical terrorist. So yeah, I got a lot of thoughts to give about that, but that is going to be a live stream on its own, which is going to be later today, and that means that I'm going to have 2 live streams in one day. So yeah, I am feeling quite on a roll here today, folks, in spite of testing positive for COVID. Now, before we get into this any further, let me just get another sip of my coffee. So anyway, the first article here is from CNBC, which I know is a mainstream news outlet, so not particularly trustworthy probably. And probably the only reason why that they are reporting about this at all, Ghislaine Maxwell, is because they found some way to drag Trump into it. But I thought that we'd at least entertain, anyways, the words being spoken right here. And the title of the article goes, Ghislaine Maxwell trial, sex crimes accuser testifies Jeffrey Epstein took her to meet Trump when she was 14. So, it's quite interesting. Now, obviously, I'm just going to say that right on the offset, that does not really prove anything. I mean, Donald Trump could just be, I don't know, vaguely just meeting a 14-year-old and very briefly doesn't mean automatically that he has diddled anybody. So for all the Trump supporters out there, I'm not going to assert definitely that there is anything that we can implicate Trump in as far as sex crimes and connections to Jeffrey Epstein goes. Well, actually, it is pretty much a well-known fact that Trump has had associations with Jeffrey Epstein. Although I think he had pretty much disassociated and disowned any association with Jeffrey Epstein after it had been found out what Jeffrey Epstein had done with children. But nonetheless, if this was to unfold and lead on to the most extreme of circumstances, this little story right here, if it did go to reveal that Trump did have something to do on Jeffrey Epstein's island and something to do with kids, well, then that would be the turning point plot twist of the century for Trump cultists. Finding out that their messiah is in fact a kid diddler. Now, again, I gotta say that I'm not asserting definitely that Trump is anything like this. I'm just a mere thought of that is kind of entertaining in my mind just a little bit. I cannot lie that it's entertaining just a little bit, mostly because I get annoyed by Trump cultists sometimes. And also, hashtag not all when I say Trump cultists. There are regular milquetoast Trump supporters, people who like casually support him and think think he's the lesser of two evils in comparison to Biden or Hillary. And then there are the Trump cultists who literally think that Trump can do no wrong. Those are the types of Trump supporters that really annoy me. I have plenty of Trump supporter friends and family. I don't mean to drag every single one of those people into this group of air quotes Trump cultists when I start ragging on people that I refer to as Trump cultists. Just to put out that disclaimer right there. But anyway, Netshift 10,000 says, I can just hear the dumbass Karens now. You're on live. You're exposing your audience to COVID. Oh man, I coughed into the mic. The disease is making its way through the internet airwaves right now, folks, and is penetrating through the speakers, and it's through the speakers that you are now breathing in the COVID germs that I've spread to you all. Oh man, the horror. I am in the midst of developing a brand new variant of the coronavirus. It's called the Matrix variant. The Matrix variant being a type of variant that is able to be transmissible through technology. And this is 100% fact, y'all. Y'all dare question it, you will be shut down by YouTube, Google, Facebook, and everyone else as far as any types of criticisms towards the Matrix variant of the COVID virus. Adrian says, joke's on you, I just had COVID. Got cured of it today. Oh, no. You don't understand. You don't understand. Even if you just recovered from COVID, your natural immunity does not work as well as the almighty, can never be criticized vaccine. It never works. The natural immunity that you pick up, it does not work at all. In fact, it might as well not be called a natural immunity. It does not work, and especially in effect against the Matrix variant of the coronavirus. Anyway, moving on. Key points. A woman who says she was sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell testified that Epstein took her to meet Donald Trump at his Florida club when she was 14 years old. Alright, so just the Florida club. So far, that kind of relieves somewhat the minds of Trump supporters, of the more casual Trump supporters, and really just Trump supporters in general, might I say. I mean, nothing to do with the Lolita Express or the Epstein Island. It's just the Florida club. Although, actually, one has to wonder, what the fuck is a 14-year-old doing in a club? Clubs are typically just 21 and older, aren't they? Like only people of age 21 and older are allowed in, right? I don't know. The woman in testimony at Maxwell's federal sex crime trial did not allege any improper conduct by Trump when she met him at his Mar-a-Lago resort. Okay. Well. All right. So, yeah. Makes you wonder why exactly why CNBC is reporting this now. I don't know, maybe CNBC does not have as much of a hate boner towards Trump as main MSNBC. Excuse me. I mean, CNBC is in cooperation with MSNBC, and I think CBS is also in cooperation with them as well. All part of the same company, but what the heck? I think I'm getting spam here, y'all. Naked HDXYZ online strips without. You know what? Fuck it. I am putting this guy in timeout. I wonder, did that work? I'm getting spammed right now for some reason by some bot account. Okay. Online strips without clothing was timed out by the Dark Conservatory for 3 seconds. Yeah, none of that strip club shilling allowed in the live chat. That's rather inappropriate and overly lewd. And definitely don't spam the roughly the same message 4 times in a row. Sheesh. For crying out loud. I might have to outright ban that account, actually. But that's new. That's a new thing that's happened to this YouTube channel. I never got spammed by a stripper bot account on YouTube. Oh, man. It's a bot, says Adrian. Yeah, I suspect most likely. If it starts popping up again, I will definitely ban it. But for right now, let me try to capture my train of thought again. So, the only reason why I would think that a center-left media source like CNBC would be reporting on a story like this in connection to Ghislaine Maxwell is to try and find a way to drag Donald Trump's name through the mud by trying to implicate Donald Trump in sex crimes in relation to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and so forth. But no, just right off the bat with this second bullet point here, they are saying that the woman who's testifying is testifying that Donald Trump did not do anything with her. So, okay. I guess due diligence and credit where it's worth. Or where it's due. I don't know. I'm being redundant. Epstein for years socialized with Trump, former President Bill Clinton, Britain's Prince Andrew, Bill Gates, and other wealthy and powerful people. Right. A woman who says she was sexually abused by late sex criminal and financier Jeffrey Epstein and British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell testified Wednesday that Epstein took her to meet Donald Trump at his Florida club when she was 14 years old. The woman in testimony at Maxwell's federal sex crimes trial did not allege any improper conduct by Trump when she met him at his Mar-a-Lago resort. Nor did the woman characterize what happened at that meeting, which she confirmed under cross-examination by Maxwell's lawyer, Laura Menninger, in U.S. District Court in Manhattan. But the woman who was testifying under the pseudonym Jane also said she had competed in the 1998 Miss Teen USA beauty pageant, an event associated with Trump. How scandalously... you know what? I just gotta ask, like... She might have not been touched by Trump, but I just gotta wonder, like, how scantily clad were the Miss Teen USA beauty pageant participants? I mean, were they about as immodest as all the girls on Dance Moms or the cast for Cuties? If that's the case, well then fuck this shit. Trump, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Why are you hosting this at all? Why aren't you putting a shutdown to it? Why aren't you jacking your funding away from this event? Or whatever appropriate action he needs to do in order to disassociate from this bullshit. But I don't know. I do not have any idea what exactly gone on with this. You know what? Maybe I should search up some pictures about this. See if there's like any I don't know. See if there is anything super immodest that should be discouraged and frowned upon. Anyway, a spokeswoman for Trump did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Maxwell is charged with procuring Jane and other then underage girls to be sexually abused by Epstein, a money manager who for years socialized with Trump, former President Bill Clinton, Britain's Prince Andrew, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, and other wealthy and powerful people. Jane is the first of those accusers to testify at the trial, which began Monday. Her account of meeting Trump was described in an interview she gave federal investigators, which Menninger, however you pronounce that name, asked her about Wednesday. Mr. Epstein introduced you to Donald Trump, correct? Menninger asked. Jane replied, yes. Jane said Epstein took her to Mar-a-Lago in a dark green car. Epstein died in August 2019 while in a Manhattan jail from what has been ruled a suicide by hanging while awaiting his own trial on federal child sex trafficking charges. Of course, they're going to go ahead and say it was suicide. Mainstream hacks. Epstein was arrested a month before his death. Trump said at the time that he was no longer friends with Epstein and that they had not spoken for up to 15 years. All right, and there is what I said earlier about Trump trying to disassociate and disown any association or whatever of Epstein. I'm not a fan of his, Trump said then, but they used to be chummy. In 2002, Trump told New York Magazine, I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with, Trump said then. Oh god, this makes me sick reading right now. Even if Trump is allegedly ignorant of all the bullshit that Epstein did, just the fact that he be saying this at all just makes me sick thinking about it. And I hope that Trump, if he really is innocent, goes to thinking back on these words and goes thinking, man, I am disgusted of my own former words that I said about that piece of shit Jeff Epstein. Anyway, it is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. How much younger side? I mean, do you know of how young that it gets, Trump? Do you even know? Do you have any idea of how young, how much on the young side he prefers his women? Wow, that could not have come off any more wrong. Don, come on. Anyways, the New York Times in 2019 reported that in 1992, a Florida businessman at Trump's request had organized a calendar girl competition at Mar-a-Lago. I arranged to have some contestants fly in, the businessman George Hurrenay told the Times. At the very first party, I said, who's coming tonight? I have 28 girls coming. It was him, Trump, and Epstein. I said, Donald, this is supposed to be a party with VIPs. You're telling me it's you and Epstein? Hurrenay recalled. So, that's the end of that article. So she alleges that she did not get touched by Trump. So that's one thing that's working in Trump's favor. But what's not really working in Trump's favor is this whole beauty pageant thing that Trump was helping host. Like, what the heck is going on? What were you smoking around that time in early 2000s and late 1990s, Trump? Jeez. So I'm going to read up on the live chat here before I go any further. Someone 1000 says, LOL, don't you mean the Neo variant? And Agent Smith would be the Matrix variant. I guess so. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't worked out the fine details of what the CDC is going to name the very next variant that is going to be able to transcend the internet airwaves. Anyway, Adrian says, I know plenty of stories of parents working in the industry, in clubs, and other locations at times. There's kids there helping out with business, so it's not that weird to see a 14-year-old there. All right. Well, thanks for the context, Adrian. Damn. Fucking dyslexic. I don't know. Maybe the case of coronavirus that I have right now is making me tongue-tied. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just not warmed up for live stream commentary. Anyway, the next article is from Business Insider, which is kind of odd that Business Insider would be talking about this because they're kind of a mainstream outlet, but I don't know. There seems to be a little bit of a difference in methodology with news reporting between the primetime TV networks associated under a certain mainstream media name like Business Insider or MSNBC or CNBC versus their internet news website article posting side of things. And when it comes to the internet article side of things, they go a little bit more broad with what topics that they talk about. But anyway, this is from Business Insider. Like I said earlier, the FAA accidentally disclosed more than 2,000 flight records associated with Jeffrey Epstein's private jets. Now, this article was shared on Facebook by one of my friends who has been rather interested in the story connecting to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And I would mention his name, but he'd probably prefer not to be mentioned. So here we are. We're just going to continue on as is. Insider requested all flight history data associated with 4 planes owned by Jeffrey Epstein. The FAA rejected the request but later provided the records in response to an unrelated request. The new FAA records include hundreds of previously unknown flights made by Epstein's jets. They corroborate insiders' reporting on Epstein's travel plans as documented in court records and flight signal data. A searchable database now contains 2,618 flights made by Epstein's private jets from 1995 to July 6, 2019. So, those are the bullet points. Let's get into the actual article itself. In January 2020, Insider asked the Federal Aviation Administration for all the agency's flight records, including departure and arrival data, associated with the fleet of private jets owned by Jeffrey Epstein. Filed under the Freedom of Information Act, our request seemed to have a decent chance of success. The agency in 2011 released its entire database of U.S.-based flights to the Wall Street Journal. So if I was to give Business Insider the benefit of the doubt, it seems to be that they are like one of the few mainstream outlets that have actually been on top of the Jeffrey Epstein stories. I don't know. I could be acting a little bit overly gullible just at that first paragraph alone, but we'll see. I'm not going to rule it out that maybe they were turning a blind eye intentionally to Maxwell and Epstein and all that stuff, but who knows? In March 2020, however, the FAA denied our request, saying that the responsive records originate from an investigative file and were therefore exempt from disclosure. The agency cited Exemption 7A, which Congress designed to shield records that were compiled for law enforcement and could reasonably be expected to interfere with enforcement proceeding. The FAA did not specify which enforcement proceeding the records might interfere with. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's ex-girlfriend and confidant, faces a trial over sex trafficking charges this month. But despite its original denial, the FAA inadvertently mailed Insider a portion of Epstein's flight records alongside correspondence for an unrelated FOIA request earlier this year. The records contain data on 2,300 flights among 4 private jets registered to Epstein between 1998 and 2020. Most of them had appeared in Insider's searchable database of all known flights connected to Epstein. So, they're saying accidentally, that the narrative is that it was accidentally done. But I would just want to give some extra context that the person who had shared this article on his general Facebook where I first saw this article, he said that he is calling BS. He's calling bullshit on it being accidental. He thinks that somebody did it intentional and is in fact a freaking hero for doing it, which probably damn well the case. But nonetheless, the new FAA records also reveal 704 previously unknown flights taken by Epstein's planes. These include hundreds of trips from a 3-year gap in the public record from 2013 to 2016, when the jet's movements were unaccounted for. 2013 to 2016. Interesting. The new flight records do not include the names of passengers, but they may offer clues about the whereabouts of Epstein's close associates. Maxwell was a frequent passenger aboard the disgraced financier's jets. Epstein owned a Gulfstream II sold in November 2013, a Gulfstream IV sold before his arrest, a Gulfstream GVSP, and a Boeing 727 nicknamed the Lolita Express. Okay, so I keep on going on about the Lolita Express a little bit earlier, but apparently there's more than just the Lolita Express that is associated with Epstein. Excuse me, my throat was itching right there real badly. That notoriously ferried notable passengers and girls around the globe. According to flight manifests unsealed in a defamation case against Maxwell, travelers on Epstein's planes included public figures from Presidents Donald Trump and Bill Clinton to the supermodel Naomi Campbell and the astronaut John Glenn. Insider has reported extensively on Epstein's air travel, covering his jet's flight patterns before his arrest and publishing a searchable database of every known flight made by his jets. The database, which has been updated, now includes flights compiled from court records, public flight signal data from the Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, or ADSB, system, and FAA records. In addition to filling in the 3-year gap in the mid-2010s, the FAA records corroborate the flight records compiled by Epstein's pilots and found through insiders' analysis of ADSB data. They clarify start and end points that were ambiguous because of incomplete ADSB data, which relies on the availability of land-based receivers that pick up signals from aircraft overhead. Often signals drop off in remote areas and over bodies of water. The data confirms that Epstein traveled to areas such as Cabo and Marrakesh and frequented the U.S. Virgin Islands, where his private island was. Now, I just want to say that earlier they said that it did not mention any passengers, what the passengers were. And really, I think that's what mainly everybody wants to know about. They aren't so much wanting to know about what exactly is... Sorry, just taking a closer look at this globe here. Oh, it's 3D. That's kind of cool. It's a 3D globe that we can interact with. I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen, but I'm just playing around with this globe on Business Insider's website, and yeah, all the flights, dang. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. I see that Naked HDXYZ was hidden by Cat Chat. Hello, Cat Chat. How are you doing there? How are you this fine, what is fast becoming evening here in the U.S.? It's probably morning there in Australia. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit off topic. What was I saying? Really, the main thing that people want to know about in connection to the Maxwell and Epstein stories is who are the people that are going to Epstein's private island, and exactly who is the one specifically facilitating the child trafficking, or just in general sex trafficking, and in fact is fucking around with the kids themselves. Not so much what or where the flights are going to and from, although that can be a helpful clue in people wanting to find out exactly who it is that is participating in all of this sick sex shit. 2 of Epstein's planes continued to travel after his arrest and subsequent death. His Gulfstream GVSP, the plane he flew on right before his arrest, was moved in early 2020 to Palm Beach, Florida, where it was later put out on the market. Who would want to buy that from a pervert creep like Epstein? I wouldn't want to touch that with a 30-foot pole. I feel dirty having to do anything with that plane. I don't care if Epstein is dead and if the pilots are like who associated with Epstein are no longer piloting it or whatever. I mean, there is no amount of Lysol that is going to be able to clean the germs that got infected inside that plane by Epstein's presence. Anyway, his Gulfstream for bearing the tail number N120JE is still registered to Epstein's former company. JEGE LLC, an enterprise that a Georgia pilot quietly acquired in the weeks before Epstein's arrest in July 2019. The pilot sued Epstein's estate in federal court on October 20, alleging that he hadn't been aware the jet was used in a criminal enterprise and that the company had been damaged by the stigma connected to the sex offender. The newly obtained FAA records follow the travel plans established by insiders' larger trove of Epstein flight data. Epstein's jets flew most often between New York and Palm Beach, where his primary residents were, as well as to his estates in Paris, New Mexico, and the Virgin Islands. While Epstein's jets flew extravagantly over the last 24 years of his life, they traveled most prolifically in the early aughts, making 906 flights, more than a third of the flights compiled by Insider between 2001 and 2006. Flight data is typically considered to be releasable information, an FAA spokesperson told Insider. The agency declined to comment on its disclosure of Epstein's flight records or any matter related to law enforcement investigations. Like why it is that it took you so long just to release this scant amount of evidence right here. I mean, if it is releasable information, then why be so slow to release it? Yeah, the fact that they are... Apparently there must be somebody within the FAA that is not wanting this information to get out as well. That might have fucked around with the kids in the same way that Epstein has, and Maxwell, and whoever else might be associating with this ugly face. Anyway. So, getting on to the actual trial itself. Well, actually, we talked about the actual trial a little bit earlier. What am I talking about? But anyway, more about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. This is from New York Magazine. I do not know of how much an association this group is with New York Times, but I think it might be a slightly different company. But who knows? We're just going to give this article a shot. Intelligencer. What we learned from the first Ghislaine Maxwell accuser. Alright, real interesting. There are a million ways to say I don't recall. The woman we call Jane has the astounding voice of a trained professional. She speaks in rich ranges, from just consumed bitter coffee to vloggy uptalk, always showing off her instrument. Jeffrey Epstein may have paid for some of the schooling of that voice, but the gift is all hers. If you ever have been around master vocalists, they all have a unique presence created by their voice, with all kinds of hisses and complex overtones, mysterious and sometimes scary sonic things happening under the hood. Maybe I ought to take a school for something like that, just to get past some of the awkwardness within my speeching patterns, and to make my voice, the actual sound of my voice itself, not sound so monotone, I guess. But anyway, in their back and forths with Jane in court this week, the sounds the lawyers emitted were like cardboard cutout cartoon bubbles falling face first in a puff of dust, while Jane sounded like a stormy breeze rolling down through that Microsoft screensaver with the vivid green hill and the bright blue cloud-swept sky. Okay, being a little bit overly descriptive with just the sound of people's voices. I mean, for us to make an opinion based off of that, why not just live stream the trial? Make it so that everybody can listen to it live while, I don't know, they're at work, or they're doing their Christmas shopping or gift wrapping for Christmas this season, or they're just their regular business as usual, or whatever. Why not just live stream that stuff? And I hope that's the only time that they're going to go on about people's voices. Otherwise, This article is adding up to nothing. Anyway, Jane was the first of the 4 women we expect to testify in support of the government's case against Ghislaine Maxwell. She spoke for quite a while. What you will want to know is that she said she was first sexually abused by Epstein at 14. That Maxwell was in the room more than twice when Epstein abused her, and that she was instructed by Maxwell on how to give massages to Epstein. Okay. I was about to say, if you were present to witness this, and why the fuck did you not put a stop to it? That should be like major red flags raised right there. But then you have the next sentence that goes saying that she taught her how to give massages to Epstein. That is some disgusting grooming right there, y'all. And the fact that we do not have anti-child grooming laws here in the U.S. is just a rather, quite frankly, a failing on our part. There are anti-child grooming laws in the UK, but there are no anti-child grooming laws here in the U.S. Why is that? I mean, it's unfortunate. Anyway, Adrian says in the live stream, they don't want to live stream the trial because of what happened with Rittenhouse, likely. Bit my cheek right there. What specifically are you meaning when you say that, Adrian? If you would like to, please clarify in the live chat. Anyway, in response, Maxwell's attorneys used material gathered by FBI investigators in interviews from 2019 to 2021, intending to contradict anything and everything Jane said, misremembering details, misremembering where she lived, not being able to recognize a house. That all goes to her credibility as a witness. Her believability is how Christian Everdell, a lawyer for Maxwell, explained it to the judge. Then he said something preposterous. Her memory of every single detail of her childhood is central to the case. The I don't recalls from Jane began in response to a sea of questions stemming from those prior statements to the government. At first, this felt like a devastating pummeling. The defense did make Jane look like she had been inconsistent over the years. The Broadway opening year of The Lion King, in her memory of every single detail of her childhood, was off by 3 years. At one point, she seemed to be suffering and answered a question about the abuse in a different vocal mode, in a strangled or childlike tone. Does that freaking matter? I mean, it'd be kind of natural that somebody would start breaking down emotionally if they have to start recalling their own past traumatic experience of being diddled as a kid. Come on. I absolutely believed everything from her after hearing that. When the body undergoes trauma, there are inevitable repercussions for the voice, especially in its capacity as an instrument, wrote the soprano Lauren McQuiston in an article about the effects of sexual abuse on vocalists in the Journal of Singing. Alright. Finally, at last, Jane said that what she was being asked to respond to weren't actually transcripts of her words. They were someone's typed notes of what Jane had said. She had never seen that text herself, and her account hadn't ever been recorded. Even so, some observers present in court this week thought Jane's testimony was bleak for the prosecution. Why is that exactly? Just because of slight inaccuracies of when exactly that she had seen The Lion King when she was younger? Just because she ended up cracking up when she had to recall her own sexual abuse? That is some pretty flimsy reasoning right there. To be thinking that her testimony in favor for the prosecution is somehow weak. Anyways. But people, even juries, recognize that we can't remember the entirety of our teenage years, particularly when we are being serially assaulted. Precisely. Maxwell's team lost its way. The lawyers fumbled down weird roads. Wait, let me restart that. Maxwell's team, so this is the defense, team lost its way. The lawyers fumbled down weird roads and never arrived at a destination. The lawyer asking questions later said she was suffering from low blood sugar. Then for a while, the defense worked on describing Jane as money hungry and after an Epstein payday. If there's money associated with anything, apparently you are some hack just looking for money, y'all. This is frustrating. The defense also dwelled for an extremely luxurious amount of time on the fact that Jane works as an actress. "You're able to cry on command," she was asked. "No, not always," Jane said. "It's not really how it works." Right, precisely. Oh god, they're going to try to use her own past acting career as a wedge against her. Come on, all this weak shit right here. Then the prosecution brought out a handsome previous boyfriend of hers, calling him Matt. He and Jane lived together for 6 or 7 years. She told him about Epstein years ago. A government lawyer wondered what Jane's reaction had been when Matt had asked for details about her dealings with Epstein. Matt responded, "She would just say to me, 'Matt, the money wasn't fucking free.'" Maxwell's lawyers had no questions for him. The prosecution will be presenting witnesses against Ghislaine Maxwell until around December 14. That means, given holidays, the trial is unlikely to conclude before January 6, so temper your burgeoning opinions about the outcome accordingly. The lawyers are just starting to find their pacing. The lawyers are just starting to find their pacing, finding out what the judge, Allison J. Nathan, will and will not allow. So far, the judge pushes the proceedings forward sturdily. She is more vigorously attentive than your best former therapist. She dampens flare-ups and quietly diffuses acerbic moments. You have to wonder what it's like for the members of the jury. Before Thanksgiving, they were out moving the car for alternate side parking night, oversleeping for work, forgetting to take out the trash, finally winding down that affair, complaining about jury duty, the regular stuff we all do every day. Now they're locked in an invisible agreement of silence, disappearing each morning into a small time hole of a room, as a parade of people unload horrible details about one of the strangest mysteries of our time. Indeed. End of article. It really is one of the strangest mysteries of our time. Everything relation of Maxwell, Epstein, the works. One of the strangest mysteries, and yet one of the most important mysteries at the same time. So, the live chat, Adrian says, having all the proceedings and evidence out in the open so there is less option to spin the outcome in a direction. There's a reason Epstein suicided. The establishment really wants this to go well. Okay, I understand. They're wanting it to not be live streamed so that people aren't able to record it. That like a video recording, that would be the hardest evidence against Maxwell. If they were able to find something within that video recording of a live stream or whatever. I mean, it's all fine and dandy for us to be reading little pieces of information, news articles like these, but news articles, they can easily be deleted or edited or whatever else that the establishment really wants to do in order to cover up for their own tracks by covering up also in turn for Maxwell. But live streams, if somebody was to record that and keep that on a USB or whatever, that shit would not be going away at that point. Though somebody could like take screen caps of articles, but then you'll have the establishment saying it's photoshopped. Possibly. I don't know. Anyway, so that's that's all that I wanted to say about the Maxwell trial subject. I wanted to talk a little bit about pipelines with y'all. So, I thought I had said in some episode of Strike Force, or gone talking about anyways. Okay, what am I trying to say? I thought in some past episode of Strike Force News that I had featured this one Forbes magazine article that I had read talking about the Keystone XL pipeline, saying as to how that it does not really raise the price of gas, at least current day anyways, to be canceling the Keystone XL pipeline. because Keystone XL was not even operational entirely. What was not operational, I guess, at all. I don't know, maybe there was some segment that they were able to operate at some point or another. But nonetheless, for the most part, at least, it was inoperable. It was not working. It was not contributing to the economy as far as the industry of gas or fuel transportation goes. So, and that was what the Forbes magazine article was explaining. It was also saying, on the other hand, that if it was complete, that in the future it would contribute to lower gas prices. And so that the most that Biden did by revoking the Keystone XL pipeline licensing and whatnot, shutting down the construction of it, is that he made gas prices expensive for the future. On down the road, there was predictions that gas was going to get so low, but because it I cannot remember what the exact numbers were, but it was going to get so low, but because it got canceled, predictions started going up again for the future. The price for it, I mean, anyways. And another thing that could be a little bit of a side effect is that it would affect confidence within the gas industry, within the energy industry, the shutting down of Keystone XL. And the reason why I got into reading that article and go making reference to it, was because I kind of jumped the gun in the early parts of this year and the early parts of Biden's administration on saying that him shutting down Keystone XL was causing the prices of gas to rise. I jumped the gun, and honestly, I was wrong in that. Keystone XL pipeline is contributing very, very little, if not any at all, into the rising price of gasoline. But at the same time, fast forward a few months later, he is shutting down pipelines that are actually currently in the works, like the Line 5 pipeline as a stark example of that. Now, there is no solid statement that they definitely are, or that they definitely have anyways, shut down the pipeline, but they are definitely heavily considering it. As within this article right here from New York Post, and I'll have all three of these articles linked down in the description box below after this live stream is done. But from the New York Post here, it goes showing, you know what, I'm just gonna let the clip here play actually.
Heating their homes. The Energy Secretary says about the cost of Americans heating their homes in the winter, it will be more expensive this year than last year. So why is the administration now considering shutting down the Line 5 pipeline from Canada to Michigan?
So, Peter, that is inaccurate. That is not right. So any reporting indicating that some decision has been made.
I just gotta ask you a question. Why is a girl so cute working for an administration so ugly? I'm just saying. Like, you all know that I'm primarily into black girls, and I gotta ask, what is up with that? What is up with all the beautiful black women being generally leftists or something else along those lines? At least that's my experience anyways.
Again, is not accurate, but what I will...
Not to say that there aren't some pretty black girls on the right as well. I mean, Candace Owens, as inauthentic some people might say she is with her political opinions, she still has a beautiful face, let's be honest.
Any reporting indicating that some decision has been made, again, is not accurate. But what I will say is, I'll lay this out for you for a little bit here. Where we are is with this is that the Canada has decided to invoke the dispute resolution provisions of the 1977 Transit Pipelines Treaty. We expect that both the
So one of the details that was espoused in this article here is that Canada is actually trying to preserve the pipeline for the sake of their own economy. So score one for Canada, apparently. Canada is showing themselves to be more based than us here in the U.S. when it comes to the energy sector. Score one for Canada. Go Canada. I mean, we Americans, we always love to rag on Canada for their accents and their maple syrup and all that stuff. But energy sector, good on you, Canada.
U.S. and Canada will engage constructively in those negotiations. In addition to being one of the closest allies, Canada remains a key U.S. partner in energy trade, as well as efforts to address climate change and protect the environment. I will also add this too, is that the current Line 5 pipeline is subject to litigation between Enbridge and the state of Michigan. So again, it is inaccurate what you just stated.
What's
but
inaccurate?
but the reporting about us wanting to shut down the Line 5.
I said, is it being studied right now? Is the administration studying the impact of shutting down the Line 5?
Yes, we are. So
then what's inaccurate?
Well, I thought you were saying that we were going to shut it down, but that is not inaccurate. Okay, great. But the Army Corps of Engineers is preparing an environmental impact to look through this.
I'm sorry. Just the smugness from that press secretary, deputy press secretary. She's not the main one. Jen Psaki, I think, is the head press secretary. I do not know what exactly the positions are. I know that Jen Psaki is the press secretary that most to all right-wing commentators go to. I mean, especially Ranting Monkey goes to when they want to go responding to a White House speaker. Aside from the president, when it's not the president himself, anyways, they go to Jen Psaki. But this girl, yeah, I've seen her face before, and she's some association with press, but I don't know what all the exact positions are. I guess there's a second press secretary position. What am I talking about? Anyway, I just that smugness right there from her. It's acting like so confident that he was wrong for his translation of everything. Oh god, this stupid bot account is remove. Okay. There we go. Naked HD XYZ, man, get the fuck out of my YouTube channel. I'm not interested in your spam messages of a whole bunch of emojis trying to, I don't know, bait me into whatever you're trying to sell. Anyway. Oh god. Adrian in the live chat says, black women benefit a lot more from government programs, so they are more left-leaning. You know, that is... Well, it's not just black women. It's unfortunately a stereotype with black people. Well, it's not even just a stereotype. It's a safe generality to say that black people generally are more left-leaning than right-leaning, or at least vote Democrat more than vote Republican. And so it's obvious. But I don't know. I just, as somebody who like primarily likes black women, it's kind of sad. It makes it kind of hard for me to find a girlfriend as well. Anyway, enough of my virginity screaming. What was I gonna say about this? God, there was some other topic that I was wanting to say about this. So about Canada and God, lost my train of thought entirely. So yeah, they're studying into it. There's a statement. Now I remember what it was. There's the statements that they are studying into it. At least that was the original thought right here. But then a little bit later, go looking into this Newsweek article. It seems that the Biden administration is more heavily considering in shutting it down. So I think the administration is not exactly having the most cohesive intercommunication with its own self. So because you got this one smug press secretary saying, no, we're not considering it. The Biden administration is not considering shutting down the L5 pipeline. No, we're just studying the effects of doing such. But then there's this article, if you go reading into it yourself, they go saying that, yeah, they are considering on shutting it down. There's no definite statement that they are shutting it down, but if they were to shut down Line 5 pipeline, and unfortunately these are older articles from early November, so who knows, I should have tried better to find a more up-to-date article, but here we are. But if they were to shut down this pipeline that is working, it would definitely raise the prices of gasoline as opposed to Keystone XL, whereas Keystone XL was not actually operable yet. So yeah, there is that, and also by extension, talking about PolitiFact, this was one of the articles that I had found in my research of trying to find out information about the recent news about pipelines, and it goes focusing in so much on the Keystone XL pipeline. And it just, this article, if you read it, it just shows of why and how that I don't exactly trust PolitiFact entirely. Actually, I don't really trust them at all. I mostly just trust them as cannon fodder more than anything. But in this article, they go responding to a Facebook meme that is talking about as to how that because what am I trying to say? The Facebook meme goes saying that gas is so cheap in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Russia, and yet they aren't shutting down their pipelines. And within this this article, you go seeing as to how that PolitiFact. Okay, here's the. All right, here's the exact meme that they go quoting. They go quoting it verbatim, where it says gasoline in Russia is $2.10, Kuwait 78 cents, Saudi Arabia 98 cents. Nobody's shutting pipelines down there, and it ends with an abbreviation that is known to be a taunt directed at Biden. So it ends with an. Are you talking about the "Let's Go Brandon" taunt? But anyway. So it isn't saying definitely that is referring to Keystone XL pipeline, the Facebook meme anyways. And yet PolitiFact, they just want to go focusing in entirely on Keystone XL, completely omitting and ignoring the L5 pipeline that is being considered for shutting down. So it's I don't want to say so much of a lie by omission, because it isn't known quite yet if L5 is actually shut down or not, but they are definitely considering it. And the fact that PolitiFact does not mention at any point in this article that L5 is being considered to be shut down is just ridiculous on their part. I mean, the Facebook meme is wrong itself. I mean, especially as they go showing later that the gas prices in Russia, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia are actually slightly higher than what the Facebook meme gone showing. But nonetheless, PolitiFact is wrong at the same time by not looking at L5. Not as wrong as the Facebook meme, if I was to be honest, but still wrong in how narrow-minded they are being with this subject. Going to focus entirely on Keystone XL. That had no contribution to rising gas prices because it wasn't even operable yet. But what about this other pipeline that is already operable and contributing to the supply and demand of gas prices? Nope, we're going to ignore that one. We're going to ignore the stories about Biden even considering on shutting down that. Nope, not totally not relevant to the subject. The Facebook meme was just talking about pipelines in general. Wasn't focusing it so much about Keystone exclusively. But anyway, I'm getting kind of rambly. Sorry that I'm being so rambly right now, folks. But anyway, which article do I actually want to read from Washington Examiner? Probably just read one more article for the day, and then I'll end off this live stream and then prep for the next live stream reviewing the Destiny debate. Thomas Court. Roe skeptic seizes moment during abortion hearing. Maybe I should read that one. Senior Supreme Court Justice asked a series of sharp questions as court considered Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. Texas authorities apprehended 165,000 at border. Biden jokes Fauci as president during COVID plan rollout. You know, honestly, he might be joking about that, but let's be honest, it's probably underhandedly is serious, because is Biden really within all of his faculties in order to lead this country? All the theories and implications sort of show that no, not really. So you got people keep on saying that Kamala Harris is like the main puppeteer of Biden, but hardly anybody goes mentioning about Fauci. In all realism, Fauci probably has more puppeteering over Biden than Kamala Harris does. Or at least that's my opinion. Or at least people ought to be like talking about how Fauci might be puppeteering Biden a little bit more than they actually are. What happens during a government shutdown? Brace for defeat. Biden administration expecting SCOTUS to cut down Roe. Interesting. Mark Meadows calls claim Trump attended debate with COVID-19 fake news. Well, that's an old story nonetheless. Do not know why that they're reporting about it now. Which one? Decisions. Maybe I'll just start reading and then go from there. Biden administration embraces for Supreme Court setback on abortion. The White House is bracing for the Supreme Court to chip away at the landmark 1973 abortion case Roe v. Wade, as the justices consider the constitutionality of a Mississippi law banning the termination of pregnancies after 15 weeks. Which honestly, 15 weeks is a little bit too late for me personally. You all might know that I want it taken down to 7 weeks, at least. All the people who are more passionate about abortion, they can make the arguments that it should be banned all the way down to 0 weeks, at the moment of conception. But me, I just can only make the legal argument for banning abortion down to the point of 7 weeks, personally. But anyway, the majority's inclination toward upholding the Mississippi law, evident during oral arguments Wednesday, has rattled advocates of legal abortion, but has some Democrats believing it will boost the party in next year's midterm elections. The Supreme Court overturning or undermining Roe, which established that pregnant women have a constitutional right to choose to have an abortion, could derail Republican aspirations for the House and Senate in the 2022 midterm cycle, according to former Democratic consultant Christopher Hahn. The party in power has historically performed poorly in such elections, and Democrats are defending small majorities. I kind of want to... Excuse me, folks. My nose is itching. But anyway, I kind of want to call BS on that, honestly. I mean, is it really? I don't think it's that cut and dry, the majority versus minority opinion, or who's in the majority opinion when it comes to the abortion subject. Because last I had searched up when it comes to the subject of abortion, most people want to at least heavily regulate abortion, if not outright ban it, whereas a slight minority want to regulate it less or just legalize it entirely. I'd have to go looking back at the poll, and I think it was Pew. It was like one particular poll article that me and Gage's Gunk argued over late last year, when we had that one live stream talking about abortion, racism, and gender spectrum. But anyways, the White House and the entire Democratic Party needs to treat any decision made by... actually, I'm going to... there's more of a point that I want to make about the last point that I said. Let me stop myself there. So, because of looking at that, what the majority opinion might or might not be, I don't think it's as simple, cut and dry to say that, yes, Republicans are definitely going to lose in 2022 because of them pushing on the abortion subject for banning it, or at least heavily restricting it anyways. But nonetheless, Someone 1000 says that women may have the constitutional right to abortion doesn't mean it is morally right. Yes, I do believe that if it does put the mother's life at risk. I'm sorry, what are you trying to say, 711,000? Are you saying that you're only for allowing abortion when it's the mother's life at risk? Or are you saying that you're for allowing all abortions, but you think it is not morally right? I don't know. Please clarify your position, if you will. Anyways. The White House and the entire Democratic Party needs to treat any decision made by the court that reduces a woman's right to choose as if the Republican court has destroyed choice in America, Hahn told the Washington Examiner. They haven't destroyed choice. They have the only choice that they are trying to destroy is the choice to murder someone else, that being a fetus. And I know that murder is sometimes a little bit over-inflammatory and blunt, but whatever, screw it. Hahn told the Washington Examiner, make every Republican candidate across the nation answer for the court's actions. Let them try to explain any nuance in the ruling. Bring it on, bitch. I say bring it on. But Democrats must clarify their abortion rights talking points when speaking to voters, according to Hahn, host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. Democrats fail when their messaging requires explanation, he said. This case could give the Democrats a simple message that could motivate women, particularly younger women, to vote in record numbers. Or it could just revitalize a new voting base for the Republicans. I mean, don't get so cocky, guy. 71000 says, I am for all abortion, but I am against it on basis of morality. Okay, I disagree, 71000, but okay. Thanks for clarifying. Democrats now openly embrace their support for illegal abortion instead of relying on diluted phrases such as reproductive rights. That includes President Joe Biden, the country's second Catholic commander-in-chief. Biden's stance even caused some personal embarrassment last summer when conservative bishops moved to deny him Holy Communion over the issue. Republicans are successfully appealing to many parents by emphasizing with their concerns about school mask and vaccine policies, as well as the teaching of critical race theory. An example is Governor-elect Glenn Youngkin's win last month in Virginia. But abortion access in states such as Mississippi and Texas, which has passed its own heartbeat law, combined with more tangible warnings regarding the perceived dangers of a conservative-dominated Supreme Court, may undo Republican gains with the demographic. I mean, are Democrats really concerned about the dangers of a conservative-dominated Supreme Court? Or do they realize that the three nominees that Trump had put in are not as extreme as they would think? I mean, particularly Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh is not exactly the most pro-life person to have ever been put on SCOTUS. Someone 1000 says, my belief is at least find married people who want a kid to adopt before the abortion. Okay. Adrian says, we need financial abortion for men. I'm sorry, is there some kind of inside joke that I'm not understanding here, Adrian? I'm not trying to come off as smug or dismissive, but I'm just wondering what you're meaning right there. What are you trying to refer to? Anyways. A woman's right to make our own healthcare choices will be a defining issue in the 2022 midterms, and for voters, it will reinforce the stakes of protecting and expanding our Democratic Senate majority with the power to confirm or reject Supreme Court justices. Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee spokeswoman Jasmine Vargas wrote in an email blast to reporters. The White House has remained relatively mum about the Mississippi abortion law enacted in 2018 and contested in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization. That is despite the potential advantage of a political distraction amid the emergence of the Omicron COVID-19 variant, rising consumer prices, and Biden's flagging poll numbers. But when asked about the Mississippi law multiple times this week, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki regurgitated the same prepared statement concerning Biden's support of Roe and calls for Congress to codify Planned Parenthood v. Casey's pre-fetal viability abortion threshold through the House-passed Women's Health Protection Act. but she did repeatedly describe the Mississippi measure as blatantly violating the right to safe and legal abortions. Yes. Just like the Chad meme goes. Yes. The Department of Justice filed a brief in the case and will participate in the oral argument. And he is committed to working with Congress to codify the constitutional right. That's what he's focused on, she said. Biden told reporters he did not listen to Wednesday's Mississippi abortion law Supreme Court proceedings, reiterating that Roe was the rational position to take. Psaki later confirmed Biden would be briefed on the Dobbs oral arguments, the ramifications of which Democrats claim will affect 36 million women in 26 states. But anti-abortion activists such as March for Life President Jean Mancini welcomed Wednesday's developments after almost 50 years of Roe's chaotic rule. The tragedy of abortion ends the life of a child who, by 15 weeks, has a heart that pumps 26 quarts of blood per day and can feel pain and deeply wounds her mother, she said. For Megan Wold, a former Ohio Deputy Solicitor General and clerk to Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, the bench hinted Wednesday that Roe had been wrongly decided, that Roe had been undercut by scientific facts and legal evolution, that abortion is not mentioned in the Constitution, and that the country does not have an abortion rights history or tradition. Amen. Amen. These views support overruling Roe, she said. No justice proposed a new standard to replace Roe, and 6 justices suggested a willingness to eliminate Roe's key viability holding. It is clear that the court is likely to substantially weaken Roe or more likely to overrule Roe altogether. End of article. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and read at least one more article. This article will go there. Just wanted to save the link mostly for me to put the links down in the description box after this live stream is done. Come on. Back. Go back. Web article. Anyway. Adrian says further in the live chat, men sometimes get forced to pay for kids and wait. Men sometimes get forced to pay for kids they don't want or never even fathered. I gotcha. Well, they don't want or never even fathered. You know what, that might be a more worthy conversation right there. On the issue of abortion itself, I say ban it down to the 7-week period, unless it's a life of mother circumstance. That's my belief on abortion itself. Any other issue that's attached to it, like poverty or custody or alimony laws or whatever, that I'm well open to the conversation on what should be done with those. I mean, heck, I'm open to the conversation or debate, rather, when it comes to abortion. That's not to say to guarantee that I will change my position on abortion, but nonetheless. But what was I saying? I do think that if you're not the guy who fathered the kid, if you're not the guy who actually contributed the sperm to create the kid, well then why the heck are you being tied up into alimony, or whatever exact term we want to call them, paying their kids? Because I think there are some child support, alimony, whatever it is. I think there are like different types of child supports that men are forced into, and I will agree that in a lot of cases it is rather unfair. But nonetheless, Adrian says, I agree with you on abortion, then limited period is a good idea. Oh, a limited period. Let's limit women's periods. No, that's seriously not ever going to be able to happen. You might as well be trying to limit the amount of wet dreams that men have going through period. Puberty. Why did I say period? Sorry for the misspeak right there, folks. I did not mean to go implicating that men get periods. Sorry for that. Anyway, someone 1000 says child support, right? Isn't there different kinds of child supports though? Like there's alimony, child support, or what's the difference between alimony and child support? I'm just wondering. Someone 1000, I think some men adopted the kids of the wife they are with, then they pay that child support. Someone 1000 says, LOL, period, puberty, LOL. Right, yeah. Nope, sorry folks, I, done goofed. Done goofed in my words. Is there one more article? You know what, I think I'll go ahead and read this article that goes talking about, apprehensions at the border. Texas authorities apprehended 165,000 at border under state authority. Austin, Texas. Texas law enforcement and soldiers. Let's pause that video. Texas law enforcement and soldiers sent to the border under a state initiative that began in March have encountered more than 165,000 people presumed to have illegally crossed the U.S.-Mexico border or are themselves smuggling people, according to the Texas Department of Public Safety. Lieutenant Chris Oliveira, spokesman for the Texas DPS's South Region, said during a press conference Thursday that his agency's troopers, along with National Guard soldiers and the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, have apprehended and referred 165,000 people to relevant law enforcement for arrest over the past 9 months. So that's like roughly the since the beginning of Biden's presidency. So this is just another example of how that Texas is trying to take immigration in, not necessarily the country, but in their own state, into their own hands. And I say, I don't know. Even though that I have become increasingly more open-minded to the idea of open borders, especially after shutting down the welfare state, like, that's how I would prefer things to happen, is shut down the welfare state and then go open borders, kind of in the same Milton Friedman class of, you know, what am I trying to say? School of thought, not class. The same Milton Friedman school of thought when it comes to immigration. Abolish the welfare state, then open borders. That's kind of my opinion nowadays. Even though that I have that opinion, though, I have to say that good on Texas for trying to take their state's rights and enforce them, you know, to take their state's rights and their own laws into their own hands, as opposed to just waiting for the okay from the federal government and, you know, not really putting up with the federal government's own crap. The large majority of the 165,000 were apprehended and referred to another agency, such as the U.S. Border Patrol, for arrest. The National Guard apprehended 84,000 of the 165,000. Approximately 9,900 of the 165,000 were arrested on criminal trespassing charges, including 2,200 in the Del Rio, Texas region, where tens of thousands of Haitian migrants came across the border in September and created a makeshift camp under the International Bridge. Pardon me. DPS officers have engaged in more than 1,000 vehicle chases since March. On November 26th, the day after Thanksgiving, a DPS trooper attempted to stop, the driver of a Ford pickup truck suspected of smuggling illegal immigrants. The driver did not pull over and led police on a chase. The truck crashed, resulting in the deaths of 2 people on board. 11 other people inside were injured and taken to a local hospital. The driver, who Oliveira said had been recently caught by Border Patrol illegally entering the country and was immediately returned to Mexico under the Title 42 pandemic protocols, was charged with human smuggling and evading arrest. In another incident on November 28, a DPS trooper working in Kinney County stopped a U-Haul truck and found 12 people being smuggled in the back. The driver and passenger in the front of the truck were from Oklahoma and members of the Crips gang. Ooh. Let me repeat that last sentence. The driver and passenger in the front of the truck were from Oklahoma and members of the Crips gang. Okay, yeah, libertarian or no libertarian, open borders or regulated borders, that's some good shit right there. Stopping some, illegal, I don't want to say human trafficking, I guess human smuggling, I guess, from violent gangs. Emphasis on violent gangs. Or, I don't know, is the Crips, how violent exactly are the Crips? I don't know, maybe I'm assuming too much. Maybe I am thinking them to be too reminiscent of MS-13 when they, in all reality, might not be. Anyway, one thing about Del Rio that makes it unique is that we're seeing a lot of smugglers or individuals are coming from larger cities. Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, even out of state, said Olivares. Is that we're seeing a lot of smugglers and individuals are coming from larger cities. They come down to the Rio Grande Valley, or more specifically to Del Rio, to become human smugglers because a lot has been advertised on social media by the criminal organizations. Wow. It's a whole underground right here. I mean, it's probably like a no shit Sherlock to any normie Trump supporter or controlled immigrant advocate might be saying to me right now. But nonetheless, it's nice to be actually reading up about this stuff as opposed to just going off of somebody's assertion off of, in a political conversation. All right. The uptick in vehicle pursuits is due to the smuggling organizations recruiting more drivers as well as the DPS increasing its presence, thereby having more officers on the roads to pull over suspicious vehicles. You're going to see an uptick in vehicle pursuits because, again, these individuals, they don't want to be caught, he said. The whole purpose for them is they want to get away from law enforcement. That's their primary focus, to get away and to get those migrants to where they need to get because, obviously, it's a commodity to them. And they're here for profit. They want to get the money. Other smugglers have been caught by Texas authorities attempting to move drugs into the United States from Mexico. Since March, Texas officials have intercepted more than 13,000 pounds of marijuana, 2,400 pounds of cocaine, 1,000 pounds of methamphetamine, and 157 pounds of fentanyl. Okay, now that right there does not raise as much of a red flag to me. The whole, drug dealing across country lines, across my state lines, or whatever. But it will raise a red flag to any normie conservative, obviously. But it's the human smuggling itself. Not so much the drug smuggling, but the human smuggling that is more concerning to me. Like, how many of those kids that might be getting smuggled are actually with their parents or just being used as tokens, as pawns for violent criminals in order to jump the border entirely? As the number of people illegally crossing the southern border began to spike after President Joe Biden took office, Republican Governor Greg Abbott in March created a statewide initiative known as Operation Lone Star, in which state troopers from DPS would be sent to the border to help arrest trespassers, while Border Patrol agents were pulled from the field to transport and process people in custody. In a letter sent on July 27, Abbott ordered Texas Military Department Major General Tracy Norris to take new action. Abbott cited Article 4, Section 7 of the Texas Constitution's authority for the governor to call forth the militia to execute the laws of the state and instructed Norris to do so. I just gotta say, call forth the militia to execute the laws of the state. So obviously, that very thing right there, that very statute right there, does set up a little bit of a scary precedent just going off by the pure letter of the law right there. Just the idea that, what am I trying to say? The idea that they could use the militia, that they could call forth the militia to execute the law of, really any law of the state. Say if Texas tomorrow wanted to ban the possession of violent video games, they could call in the militia to help execute the law on that front. which that I disagree pretty entirely. I think is, quite frankly, kind of fascistic. Banning video games. Instructed Norris to do so. Or say that the state of Texas decided to flip a very hard blue, and started banning guns increasingly more and more. They could call on the militia or the National Guard to help execute the laws of the state. Yeah. I don't know. I do not know if I like the idea of this power being there for them to call on just willy-nilly like that. But anyway. What's up, Red Feather, in the live chat? Glad that you could join us. This live stream is very quickly going to wrap up, though. Just FYI. Under normal circumstances, members of the military are not allowed to apprehend people. Until July, state military forces are sent to the border, assisted border patrol, state police, and local law enforcement in ways that did not cause them to interact with migrants. They manned surveillance cameras and watched the border, among other tasks. The Posse Comitatus Act forbids federal military such as the U.S. Army from enforcing civilian law without the approval of Congress, which is irrelevant to state military forces. Right? Though, imagine if Biden was to call on martial law. I mean, that subject right there would become kind of a moot point. End of article. Crap, sorry I'm late. No, it's okay, Red Feather. I'm actually going to start a new live stream here in a little bit, reviewing a debate in which your favorite political commentating YouTuber / former Twitch streamer Destiny participated in. Yes, I'm going to be reviewing a debate that has Destiny participating, but here's the thing, Red Feather. I'm going to be responding to a lot of the bullshit that Destiny says within this live stream that I'm referring to, this debate that I'm referring to of his. So, you might like it, actually, since I know of how much you love Destiny. No, I love giving you crap, Red Feather. So, to get caught up on the rest of the live chat, and then we're gonna head out of here. No one in the live chat says there is a story about a man who is being forced by the courts to pay child support for a child that is not his. Oof. Mega oof. The mother of the child has already admitted that he is not the father. What the fuck? What the fuck? The courts are so corrupt in this. In my above comment, one more piece of facts. The mother of the child has already admitted that not only is he not the father, but she never met him. How the fuck can this even be gotten away with? People just don't care, apparently. The courts apparently just don't care about the facts of that case. That goes to show even more about how child support should be majorly reformed. If not completely repealed. I don't know. That's the type of shit that would blackpill a person, no one. Red Feather says in the chat, oh gosh, referred to my commentary about the Destiny debate I'm going to review. Can I punch him in the face in Minecraft? Yes, I can try to... If you have your own Minecraft account, and I'm pretty sure Destiny has his own account, I can set up a Minecraft server and give both of you the invites to, so that you can meet up with each other and you can knock them out all your heart's desire. Purely and exclusively just in the Minecraft server, of course. Red Feather says, I thought courts required DNA testing to secure child support payments. Yeah, you know what? That is actually a good question, Red Feather. Thanks for bringing that up. And she asks, no one, where was this? I think no one might have left, but I don't know. I'll give it a little bit more time just so that no one can like give the link or respond to Red Feather. Oh, excuse me. Yawning. I don't mean to cause anyone else to yawn. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be responding very quickly. So, that's the show, pretty much, everybody. What am I trying to say? The main subject of today's show was about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I said that I have to stay updated on this, and here I am actually doing my due diligence on this. I might not do a Ghislaine Maxwell trial update the very next episode of Strike Force. Well, obviously the very next episode is going to be the review of the Destiny debate, which will be in about an hour or two. I don't know what time frame I'm looking at. I'm meaning like whatever next day I do a Strike Force. I might not talk about Ghislaine Maxwell unless there is something really, really juicy and groundbreaking. I might do it the episode after that, but I don't know. We'll have to see. But I will keep up to date on this, and I will provide you guys my commentary and updates on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial as it unfolds. Oh, no one just responded to Red Feather saying, I don't recall the name of the case, but the woman, in order for her to get government aid, she had to pick the father, and she picked the guy the first came to her head. The case is recent. What the fuck? So it sounds like a case of fraud, no one. Wow. Red Feather says, I don't have Minecraft, but a girl can dream. I must be a psychopath. I didn't yawn. No, it's Anyway, that's about all that I'm gonna do for this episode. So for any of y'all who are still tuning in the live chat right now, tune in back here pretty soon, as I'll be reviewing the Destiny debate here in a little bit. It's probably gonna take me a little bit to set up, so it's not gonna be in under 5 minutes or whatever to set up that I'll be back on air. But nonetheless, stay updated, keep the notifications on. In fact, if you haven't hit that bell notification icon already down right next to the description box, do it right now. Click on it and set it to all. And then you might get very well updated about the next time that I go live, which will be here soon. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and if you liked my commentary on all the subjects, do not forget to hit that like button down below. Even though that I am very rambly on these subjects, I'm very sorry about that. I wish I could practice up and improve on my speaking abilities in the same way that New York Magazine kind of fawned over Jane, the one testifier in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. But unfortunately, it is how it is, and you are having to put up with my very awkward, dorky self. But maybe that's part of my charm. But if you find any of that endearing, or you like the commentary itself, again, don't forget to hit that like button down below, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. But if not, you have yourself a good night, and